Good morning, everyone. Here you are at the morning wake up 10, 10, and 10 with Cowichan Brain Injury. We're going to get started here right away. It's 9 o'clock. So to begin with, I want to introduce myself. I'm Billy Kinsley, the registered kinesiologist at Cowichan Brain Injury Society. Cowichan Brain Injury Society is a nonprofit that serves brain injured individuals and their supports and families throughout the Cowichan Valley. We provide social supports, education, as well as some one-to-one rehab. We are bringing you this live program called Morning Wake Up, where we discuss the 6 pillars of brain health and do some activities that line ourselves up with those 6 pillars of brain health. So we spend 10 minutes of moving, which is one of the 6 pillars of brain health. We do 10 minutes of learning, which stimulating yourself cognitively is another one of the 6 pillars of brain health. And then we end with a mindfulness practice to help with stress management, which again is one of the 6 pillars of brain health. I want to remind everyone that you want to be in comfortable clothing. Ideally, have some water close by. You're going to listen to your body. If anything feels too strenuous or there is pain through the movement, please modify for yourself. If we're lifting our arms overhead, just go as far as you can without feeling any discomfort. If you're feeling dizzy or nauseous with a movement, either modify the movement so that it's not, usually that's like with twisting or moving our heads up and down. So you just move either slower or less range of motion, or even, what was I going to say? Yeah, less range of motion. So you might not be bringing your head all the way up, but just partly, and moving at a slower pace. So listening to your body is key whenever we're doing movement. Furthermore, you want to make sure you're in a safe space where you're not going to slip, where you're not going to hit anything. You want to be able to have your arms out to the sides as well as your legs. Today, we will be doing some standing exercises as we progress. And just a reminder that Cowichan Brain Injury Society is not liable for any accidents while participating in this program. So again, making sure you're in a safe environment and listening to your body. I like to have some music on, so I'm going to press play now and we're going to get to our movement. We will spend about 5 minutes doing chair exercises and then move to 5 minutes of standing. And we will progress this throughout the month. So if you're going to be listening to some music with me, you can turn that on now. We might experiment sometime this month with playing some music for everyone to enjoy. So let's start with some big shoulder rolls. You can exaggerate it and bring your arms into it. Lifting your arms a bit. Oh, that feels nice. Let's go the opposite way, kind of like you're swimming. Really exaggerating that roll, bringing your shoulders up to your ears and down. Nice work. A couple more seconds here. Great. We're going to cross over our body and reach here. We'll be doing some of similar exercises, but standing and going at a pace that feels good for you. We are trying to get our heart rate up a little bit today. So going a little bit quicker helps our heart rate go up. Nice work. A little bit longer here. Good. You're going to reach up with one hand, bring down. Up. One, bring it down. You can think about bringing something down with a bit of strength. Alternating hands, reaching up to the sky. Nice work. Couple more seconds here. Good. We're going to reach out to the side. alternating hands. Again, similar, you can think about bringing something towards your body, grabbing and pulling a little bit. Good. If you stretch your fingers out and then close them, that just brings some movement to your fingers as well. Nice work. Let's do 10 more seconds here. Good. Awesome. Let's do both hands overhead, and then we're going to lean to one side, lean to the other side. A little bit of a wave here. Again, if you can pick up the pace a little bit. Go to the beat if you have some music going. Good. A couple more seconds here. Okay, you're going to bring your hands down and we're going to do a forward bend. So we're bending here. These are called good mornings. We're going to do these standing as well. I'm going to keep your spine straight, just hinging at your hips. Awesome. Couple more seconds. We're going to continue with some spine movement. We're going to round our backs and then arch. Round and arch. This is like a cat-cow pose in yoga, but in the chair, getting a little bit of movement throughout your spine here. Nice work. A few more seconds. Good. Awesome. Now we're going to do some twisting. Again, this is helpful for the spine, getting some lubrication throughout your vertebrae. Gentle twist here. Nice work. This one can trigger some nausea and dizziness, so just going nice and slow. You don't have to turn your head. You can just turn your body, not your cervical spine, so not your neck. Couple more moments here. Awesome. We're going to go down to our lower body. Kick out in front of us. Kick, kick. Nice and high if you can. Good. Sitting at the edge of your chair to allow for the most movement. I didn't say I like you to be on the edge to get that core engaged, keeping your posture nice and upright as you do your exercises. Nice work. We're going to do side step. Do this for about 30 seconds here, and then we're going to get to standing. Good work, everyone. Keep up that side step. Good. Now you can stay sitting if you want. We'll do some similar exercises, but if you're comfortable, I want you to try to stand here. Now the first movement is we are going to do some mini squats. So if you're sitting, you can just think about pushing your legs to the ground and trying to lift your bottom. But if you're standing, just going as far as you can. You don't need to go deep. You don't even need to go all the way to the chair. Just a little hip hinge and then knee bend. Start with your hips, chest nice and upright, only as far as feels comfortable. We're just kind of waking up our body, getting that heart rate going. Good work. Let's do a couple more here. Nice. Okay, we're going to do that cross reach we did before, but this time we're transferring our weight from one foot to the other, lifting the heel on the side we don't have our weight on. So you can do this in the chair as well. You can do that same cross reach in front of us. Do a little pulse. You can come back to the middle if you want. This helps increase your heart rate even more. You're getting that kind of mini squat we were just doing with the cross reach. Nice work. Couple more seconds here. Good. Okay, now we're going to do some marching in place. We're bringing our knees up high to our chest. You can do this sitting. No problem. You can try and lift, alternating arm up. If you want to make it more complicated, this is a dual task. So this is making your brain work more. You're doing 2 different tasks and they're alternate sides. But if it's too much right now, just work on the marching in place, getting that knee nice and high. If you have a song going, trying to go to that beat. Now, a couple more seconds here. Nice work. Okay, we did that kick out in the chair. Chair before. We're going to do that standing, kicking out in front. Not going super high. If you want to, go for it. But just kind of, just out in front of us, little bounce. As we come back, we can add some arms. Crossing in front. Again, doing this dual task, great for balance. You can be at the back of your chair, holding on to your chair if you are struggling with your balance. Nice work. Couple more seconds here. Nice work. Okay, we're going to try and kick backwards now. If you have a chair behind you, you might need to slide it back a little bit. Just remember you did that. We're going to step backwards, reaching in front as we step backwards if you can. Again, if that's too much, just working on the stepping backwards. Holding onto a chair, being at the back of your chair if you need to for balance. Going at a pace that feels good for you. Okay, I'm going to add in my arms. Trying to keep it a little bit quick. Trying to get my heart rate up here. Good. Nice. Couple more seconds. Great. We're going to do that side step, which again, you can do in your chair. We did that before. We did more of a rotation in the chair. Now we're just going straight laterally out. So right to the side. Tapping our toe, bringing it back. Going at a pace that feels good for you. Want to make it more complicated? Add in an arm. Nice. This is an adapted jumping jack as well. So we'll actually do this one fairly often because this adapted jumping jack where you're putting an arm and a leg out opposite, really great. Good. Okay, we're going to go back to our hip hinge where we're hinging forward and then kind of thrusting our hips out a little bit at the top, getting our buttocks engaged. You can swing your arms back and then up. Just hinging at those hips. Again, they call these good mornings. You can go nice and slow, get nice and engagement here, or you can go a little bit quicker. Nice. We're almost done here. Oh, okay. Give your body a bit of a wiggle. I'm going to pause my music. Awesome work. Take that out. Hope you feel nice and warmed up here. I'm going to tell you what my heart rate is because we're going to talk about that today. So I'm at 115 beats per minute. So keep that in your mind if you can. Could be difficult, so don't worry if you can't. Taking off my sweater. Again, good sign that I got my heart rate up. So for February, we're going to be talking about movement, which is one of the 6 pillars of brain health. We're going to talk about different types this month. Different types of movement, physical activity versus exercise, the FIT principles, which some of you, if you've ever been in the exercise community, might know a bit about that. But today what we're going to start with is talking about the difference between anaerobic versus aerobic exercise. Grab a little bit of water here. Again, sign that maybe I brought my heart rate up. I'll because I'm talking a lot. Okay, so some of you may know this already, but the word aerobic actually means with oxygen. And the word anaerobic means without oxygen. So what does that mean for our bodies? So we kind of have two metabolic systems. One that is aerobic and uses oxygen to produce ATP. ATP is the energy currency within our body. It stands for adenosine triphosphate. And it is used for muscle contraction and different metabolic pathways, which we're talking about kind of today. Muscle contraction is really what movement is, right? If we're doing any type of movement, our muscles are contracting. So we need that ATP to move our bodies. So aerobic exercises uses oxygen to create ATP, our energy currency. So that means, and that system only gets kickstarted once we've been moving for a little while, where anaerobic exercises is without oxygen. So when we first start a movement, when I just first punch, that's all I've done so far, that's going to happen without using oxygen. Again, no oxygen means anaerobic. So that is happening without use of oxygen. But after I've been punching for some time, so usually after 1 minute, we start using a bit of oxygen. And the longer we do an action, the more that oxygen system gets turned up. So the aerobic system gets turned up. So if you think of them as dials, the anaerobic, no oxygen, is on from right at the start. And then as we continuously move, we start using more and more oxygen. So once we've been moving for, about 3 minutes, we're using 50% of our aerobic system and 50% of our anaerobic system. So as we get over 3 minutes, we are using that aerobic system more and more. This is why we do this 10 minutes of kind of continuous movement, because we're trying to get our bodies to use oxygen. And why we want our bodies to use oxygen is because it helps us use it more efficiently. And that's a good thing. That's good on a cellular level. It means that our cells are getting enough oxygen. It also changes our brain and our our brain and our heart. So we're going to talk about what that actually looks like here. So for doing aerobic exercise using oxygen, it usually means we're doing a repetitive movement that increases our heart rate. So think swimming, running, walking, biking, all aerobic exercises. And you want to do it for at least 3+ minutes, ideally 10. So at 10 minutes, your body is solely using that aerobic system. It's no longer using that anaerobic system. So that's really where you'll start seeing some changes in your body. So the changes that happen through this aerobic system is that our left ventricle of our heart actually gets larger. So that's when that left ventricle is filling with oxygenated blood, so then it can pump out to the rest of our body. So it gets larger, which means it actually can hold more blood. So when it pumps out, there's more blood being pushed out each contraction. So each contraction, we have more blood being pushed out, which means more oxygen to our cells, to our body. Specifically, we're kind of talking about muscles here. So that's kind of more oxygen to our muscles, which is great. Because what that actually does is allows that aerobic system to get better. So we kind of increase that load. We have more oxygen delivered. It becomes more efficient. Furthermore, we develop more capillaries. So capillaries are the small kind of arteries that are really close to doing that exchange kind of with the cells. So you get more of them. So again, if there's more of them, that means there's more kind of release of oxygen at a cellular level. Also, good thing. Another thing it does is it increases the volume of mitochondria. Mitochondria is within every cell. So all of our cells in our body have mitochondria, and they're kind of the energy producing system. within a cell. So you get more of those. So again, it becomes more efficient because it's the place that's kind of the powerhouse, the energy house. So it creates that whole system to just be more efficient at using oxygen. Great stuff. Now, we're talking about brain health as well. So what are the changes that happens in the brain with aerobic exercise? So the changes that happen in the brain that have been researched and have been seen is that it produces a protein called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which I've talked about before. This protein is essential for neuroplasticity, So it helps create more synapses, so more connections between neurons, neurogenesis, so just the creation of more neurons, more branches off, again, of neurons to communicate to other neurons close by. So after a brain injury, when we've damaged some of our neurons, we really need to be working on creating new networks, more neurons, etc. So this brain-derived neurotrophic factor is essential for that neuroplasticity and rebuilding our brains after a brain injury. So there's an increase of that protein after we've done aerobic exercise. Furthermore, they have seen that the volume of the hippocampus has increased. The hippocampus is this kind of worm-like structure, kind of deeper within our brain. So you have the cortex, and then deeper within you have this hippocampus as a part of that. You also have your hypothalamus and your amygdala, etc. But we're going to talk about the hippocampus, which is most notably known for creating memories. So getting short-term memory into long-term memory. So as you can imagine, if you have a greater volume, that means creating memories and remembering things becomes easier if we have increased volume in our hippocampus. Positive for our brains. Another thing that it does to our brain specifically is it increases the volume of an area called the basal ganglia. Now that area is most known for motor control. So it helps us move our body more fluidly. It also is known to help with motivation and emotion regulation. So this can be also helpful in getting yourself moving and doing that thing. It can be helpful in navigating difficult emotions, so kind of stress management and behaving in appropriate ways. So those are some two ways that aerobic exercises structurally change our brain. Increased volume of the hippocampus, increased volume of the basal ganglia. It also, we see an increase in brain-derived neurotrophic factor, the protein that is necessary to create new neurons and new neural networks. Very important. Okay, we have about another minute of me talking. So another thing I just wanted to point out, which we might get more into next time, is that increasing our heart rate is kind of divided up into a couple different target zones. Now, there's actually like four or five different target zones, depending on what literature you look at, but I'm actually just going to divide it into two. So we have kind of moderate exercise or aerobic exercise and vigorous exercise or aerobic exercise. So moderate is kind of 50 or let's say 60 to 75% of your max heart rate. So how you calculate that is you get 220 is kind of the max heart rate for everybody. And then you minus your age. So I'm almost 40. We're going to just use 40 as easy math. So I take 220 minus 40, that puts me at 180. And then I find what 60% of 180 is. So I went 180 times 0.6 on my calculator, and I got to 108. So that 108 beats per minute. That is moderate exercise. So I got to 115, if you remember before. So I reached a moderate zone of exercise. And it said that we need 150 minutes of moderate exercise a week. So that's, I think, works out to about 20 minutes a day. So check, I already did 10 minutes today. If I get another 10 minutes in today, I'll just have to do that for the rest of the week. So if you're doing this with me, you should be increasing your heart rate to a moderate zone. And then you just need to do that again one more time today. And you can check that I did my exercise. Vigorous exercise, on the other hand, is usually between that 70 and 85% of your max heart rate. So again, my max heart rate was 180. I went 180 times 0.8 to get 80% of my max heart rate, and that would be 144. So when I go for a run, which I try to do a couple times a week, 2 or 3 times a week, I definitely go up to that, if not more. I might even get to like 90% some days. So that counts as vigorous exercise. And if I'm doing vigorous exercise, they say you need about 75 minutes of vigorous exercise a week to kind of meet your needs to have different health benefits. We'll talk a bit more about the general health benefits of exercise next week, probably, because we have to move on to mindfulness now. I apologize if I was a little bit all over the place today. I didn't get that sleep that you need. Another pillar of brain health. Enough sleep the last couple of days. So if I'm a little all over the place, I apologize. Okay, so we are going to move into our mindfulness here. So we're going to slowly bring our body down, calm down a little bit here. If you want to place one hand on your chest, one just above your belly button. To start off, we're going to just try to breathe in deeply. Whenever we're inhaling, I want us to use our nose. So inhaling through our nose and exhaling through our mouth. Now with our hand on our chest and our belly, this helps us be mindful of how deeply we're breathing. We're trying to fill up all the way to the bottom of our lungs, which is that bottom hand. So I want you, as you inhale and exhale, try to notice both the rise and fall of not only your chest, your upper lungs, but all the way down to your belly, to your lower lungs. So just noticing the rise and fall of your inhale and exhale here. And get yourself comfortable in your chair. You can lean back now. If you want to bring your arms down to the side, you can. Since now we brought some awareness into our breathing. We're going to do a little bit of a guided meditation here. So if you're comfortable, I want you to slowly close your eyes. Continue to notice your breathing and the rise and fall of your lungs all the way down to your belly. Now I want you to imagine that you're walking through a forest. Now this can be any type of forest you want. Maybe it's a tropical forest. Maybe it's our beautiful West Coast forest here. I want you to look around and notice the trees that surround you. Notice the different colors. Is the sun shining through, or is it maybe an overcast day, which kind of dulls the colors? Either way is fine. Are there many different shades of green surrounding you? Notice what's on the forest floor. Maybe there's crunchy leaves of multicolored. Maybe there's moss. Maybe it's something completely different. Envision yourself moving smoothly, walking smoothly through the forest. Easily lifting your foot over roots or rocks, whatever the forest floor may be covered in. I want you to imagine any sounds you might hear in this forest. Is there rustling of leaves from the wind or birds chirping in the distance? Maybe you hear a rushing waterfall in the distance or a river. noticing the sounds that surround you. Next, you're going to notice any physical sensations. Is there sun warming up your skin? Is there moisture in the air and the dampness that you can feel? Maybe you take a moment to place your hand on a tree. What does the bark feel like? Is it a smooth birch tree or an evergreen that has thick bark that you're feeling upon your fingertips? Is there some wind gently going up against your face? Continue breathing. As you take your next inhale, really imagine you're in that forest. You're inhaling the air of the forest, full of oxygen, feeding your lungs, feeding your body, feeding your muscles and every cell working throughout your body. Again, noticing if there's any specific sense of smell. Is there a flower? Or do you notice the pine trees or the tropical ocean air? Feel connected to the forest that is around you. You are part of all the living things that make up the world. If you're still walking in the forest, you might allow yourself to sit. Feel a sense of connectedness and belonging. Great. Let the calmness of the forest that you've created in your mind wash over you if you're able. Let it cleanse you. As you inhale and exhale, you notice the trees doing almost the same, but picking up your carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen for you. Symbiotic relationship you have with the plants around you. And let yourself sink into this. The cares of the day and of the world, hopefully let go, release. Slowly, you're going to start noticing the sensations you have here in this body, the floor beneath your feet right now. You might slowly start opening your eyes or shifting your body from your both sit bones here. Wiggling your ankles and your toes to bring you back into the present moment, what's around you here. If you haven't opened your eyes yet, I would like you to start opening your eyes and noticing the different colors and textures around you in whatever space you're in right now. Great. I hope you're getting a sense of calmness as you move through your day, but that you might feel ready to move your body in different ways or engage in new and exciting material or whatever tasks you might need to accomplish today. Next week, we will continue our conversation about exercise. We'll talk a little bit about the anaerobic system, so the system that is not using exercise, and what kind of exercise falls into that, and the benefits of anaerobic exercise. Yeah, I hope you've got something out of today and that you have a beautiful Tuesday on this kind of gray February day from all of us at Cowichan Brain Injury. Thank you.